Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Wiso4 with MexSource.com. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all Mexican football, Mexican soccer. Today, huge news. Mexico's boss, Miguel Piojo Herrera, has been fired. 24 hours ago, we were celebrating his win in the Gold Cup versus Jamaica. Now he lost his job due to an altercation at the airport. We're talking all about it, what happened in Philadelphia with a news reporter. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. Getting a little feedback, but there we go, taking it off. But let's go ahead and meet who's in our show today. We have a special guest. You know her from Twitter. You know her from ESPN FC. Andrea Canales in Los Angeles. Andrea, first, thank you for being on the show, and a special guest you are today for us. Really quickly, your thoughts? I mean, 24 hours from now, where Mexico's winning, and then.
Yeah, it really is sort of almost Shakespearean, the drama from the heights of a trophy and winning the championship, which was what he promised he would do. He fulfills that pledge, and then he's out. It just goes to show, I think, a little bit of the passion that's involved in his character and in the sport. And it's just one of those crazy, amazing things that, people say it's soccer.
It's soccer, it's drama, especially with the national team. We'll say hi to Mr. Cesar Hernandez. There he is. Oh, wait a second. Cesar went looking for his cat about 5 minutes ago. He has not returned. So hopefully the cat is okay. But he'll be saying hi. But we'll go over to Mr. Jason Marcos. Jason, who I got to see and meet in Philadelphia once again. Great to see you, sir. Interesting 12 hours in Mexican drama, right?
Interesting, but I mean, it's always interesting, isn't it? Like none of these things are totally surprising. I mean, you win the title and then you're gone immediately, and I don't know. There's a pretty good argument that it would have happened anyway, but certainly Monday escalated it and probably put the foot down on the accelerator for this whole process. So just craziness as usual, really, though.
Already the conspiracies, it was going to happen anyways. I like it. Mr. Tom Marshall, back from about, how long? 3 weeks of being on the road, being in different cities, eating a ton of food. How's it going, Mr. Marshall?
Yeah, it felt like about 3 years. But no, yeah, it was a fun trip, but obviously, just as I thought, I might have a nice easy day today, a little bit of a Tigres Copa Libertadores preview, it all just goes crazy, and then just a massive surprise, really. I'm just in shock, and yeah, trying to just come to terms with it all, really. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be this way, was it?
Oh, it is unbelievable on what happened. But look, Cesar is back. Cesar,
oh my God.
Said hello.
Yeah.
Are you all right? How's your cat?
Oh yeah, she's fine. Long story short, we're not supposed to have our cat go outside because our neighbors are birders, so they don't like our cat outside. But anywho, I just spent about 5 minutes chasing my cat. We're good now. That was not what I was expecting before the podcast.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Saying hello to everyone that's on the chat. Marco Medina, Maria Delgado, Joel, Raul Barraza, lots of people already, 30 people. If you are not joining us on the chat, definitely get to a desktop, get to a computer, and there's a lot of people that are discussing what we're talking about and also their opinions. And I'm sure when we get to the portion of who should be our next coach, then there'll be a lots and lots of discussion. But let's go ahead and get started. We would be talking about Mexico's triumph of the Gold Cup. We should be talking about the obviously the new team that we saw on the last game that beat Jamaica, a very strong Jamaica. We should be talking about Piojo's press conference, maybe even some drama the players not talking again, but we're not. We're talking about Piojo getting sacked around 10 to 12 hours later. Actually, it was actually today, but 12 hours later, there's an incident, and it's unbelievable and how it just happened. I know we heard a little bit already about Andrea and her reaction. But Tom, you're flying back. We were flying from the airport, Philadelphia, early in the morning. I only missed it about 30 minutes. I should have been there earlier. But we hear that there's an aggression. As you see, Mr. Martinoli take us to what you saw, and I think you were one of the first ones to tweet out in English. Obviously, one of the reporters, Mr. Medrano, said that it happened. Kind of just give us a little bit of what you saw during the day yesterday that transpired, all of these things that happened now that Piojo was fired.
Yeah, well, I was walking through the airport and I saw like the blood splattered on the walls, and I thought, oh my God,
What's splattered on the walls?
what's going on here?
That's pretty morbid, Tom. Wasn't that serious?
And from that moment on, I knew it was big news.
Record says it was that morbid.
No, but I mean,
Don't look that.
I mean, as soon as Medrano had come out and said that, you knew he's not going to come out with someone with his reputation and career and come out and make something up that somebody's punched somebody else. I mean, he's got that first hand from the source, and you just knew it was going to happen. And then from there, it was like he was going to verify it. He was going to come out and verify it. He did. Martinoli said it happened, and again, Martinoli's not going to make that up. He's a huge figure in the Mexican media. He's well known. He's got absolutely no reason to come out and make that up. So I think that, and from that moment on, from then, it was right. Well, what's the fallout going to be? I mean, can he survive this? And I initially thought, honestly, that the FMF would back him. I thought they'd back Herrera. They'd kind of, just keep everything really quiet for a while and kind of let it die down a bit. And I was slightly surprised to see that they did actually fire him. But I think you have to applaud the decision. I mean, you can't be punching people in an airport. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And
just a good life rule, I think.
Yeah, don't be punching people. I mean, it's just but I mean, it's Herrera's career said, he didn't go to a World Cup in '94 because of acts of violence. I mean, he's got that personality, and it's really sad, I think, anyway, that a guy who's obviously a good coach and really gets some of these players and can really fire up his players. This is the biggest opportunity he's likely to get in his whole career as a manager. I don't think he's getting anywhere near these heights. And now, he's blown it, and he's blown it because of a personality flaw. And he couldn't keep that in. He couldn't rein it in. He couldn't control himself. And so it makes me sad because I think in the end he's a good guy, and he's treated the media absolutely brilliantly. He's been great for us.
Mm-hmm. And then to you, we were talking on Twitter early in the morning yesterday. I was at the airport, and does this surprise you? I mean, when we were kind of looking at it, looking for evidence, we were trying to see, what airport cameras, security, somebody had to see it, TSA would have done something. We almost didn't believe that the stories didn't add up. But to you, does it surprise you after everything that's gone through that the FMF will take that stand into saying, what, no one is above, the job, and you have to respect the rules that we have? Does it surprise you that he's fired now?
Oh, you really didn't want to believe it. We kind of went back and forth a little bit on Twitter because you were like, where's the evidence? Until I see the video, I don't think he's going to go. And unfortunately, I had the feeling as soon as the information came out that it would be something that that would get him canned, honestly. I was thinking it's the sort of thing that I totally believe that the FMF would have backed Herrera if his results in 2015 had been utterly brilliant. I mean, mad geniuses are tolerated. When Aguirre tripped the Panamanian player in the Gold Cup in the past, I mean, that was kind of glossed over because the team was in the middle of the tournament. They weren't about to sack him. But the Gold Cup was done, and it was still problematic. I wrote my piece on it, and I also think that Tom wrote a great piece on, incidents that Herrera had in the past. And I don't think that they thought that this was a really isolated thing, because he's done things that have been close to the edge before, and the results this year weren't good enough for them to fight for him anymore.
You think maybe? I mean, if you would have won the Copa America, and you would have obviously he won against Jamaica, he wouldn't have been fired. Do you think that would have been likely? They would have stuck up for him. I mean, his football was that great, and we saw everything that he wanted. Because
I think honestly, and that's just my personal opinion, I really think that if he had advanced, I'm not saying win the Copa America, but advance and kind of put the stigma of 2011 instead of like repeating the bouncing out of the group stage of the Copa, and also not only won the Gold Cup, but won the Gold Cup with less kind of embarrassing results when we talk about the quarterfinal and the. And I'm not saying that Mexico is to blame for the penalty calls, but I do feel like the fans definitely took it like Mexico is to blame for letting the game come to the penalty calls because they didn't score on their own.
The football wasn't there at all. I can see that.
Yeah, and that is sad, like you said, that so much of what people wanted to see from the team was there in that last game, but not until then. And if you really look at that 7-game winless streak going from the Copa into the Gold Cup, it wasn't there either. And that's 7 games of not winning. And I don't think people forgot that. And plus, we haven't even mentioned those political tweets that he never apologized for.
Yeah.
That he always acted like, oh, what's wrong with everyone for being upset about this?
Jason, you kind of mentioned it today when you first started. Like, we kind of saw it coming. Kind of share Andrea's view that it was probably meant to happen, and because of the bad result, they kind of did, you know what, I think this is our way out of getting Piojo and getting somebody in, but I think it's a gamble before October. What do you think?
I mean, so long coming into the summer, what were the chances that Piojo was going to outlast the summer? I mean, the writing has been on the wall for so long that it was set up for him to fail, and like he didn't fail in that, yes, he got the trophy, but so much of what led up to it was absolute failure. I mean, that Copa, like Andrea said, not beating Bolivia. Like, there was like some bare minimum necessities. Yes, it was the B team. There was the sacrifice there, but like you sent that squad, there needed to be some sort of result, and there wasn't. So, okay, we moved to the Gold Cup. So this was a failure. Moving to the Gold Cup, and the form and the play in those friendlies and throughout the Gold Cup was just terrible. I mean, and exactly the way that quarterfinal went down, and especially the way that semifinal went down, they felt like losses. I mean, because the fan base is just bummed out. Everybody's bummed out. Like, yes, Mexico got to go on, they got to get the trophy, and it was great that they got to get the trophy, but the results were scary, and there were a lot of things that were going on in the scary. And so, like, you know, you definitely see Monday doesn't happen, like the incident at the airport doesn't happen. It's not like far-fetched to see him still being let go at this point. Maybe not today, maybe next week, 2 weeks from now, but you could still see it happening based on the collective results and what was going on with the team. It still wouldn't be shocking.
Yeah, even if it wasn't for the results, it kind of seemed inevitable. We talked about this in the past, that we would have been surprised if Piojo would have made it all the way to the next World Cup. We thought he would have said something, he would have done something, and this was the thing that we all kind of expected. I don't know if this is really too surprised. There was a lot of people who were completely shocked when they saw it on Twitter, and they're just people who don't know anything about Piojo's past. They never saw those videos of him in the 90s when he was a player. We know when he kicked a couple of those fans. But like, people weren't aware of, like, you know, he's the kind of person that Piojo has been in the past. And I think, like I said, I think it was just kind of inevitable. We were expecting this to eventually happen, and it happened, you know, immediately after an ugly Gold Cup. I mean, yeah, they won the title, but I mean, like I said, it wasn't until the last game that we were really convinced by, you know, what Mexico was doing beforehand. It was really, really ugly to watch.
But do you think that was part of it in terms of how somebody like Piojo, who's so passionate, is going to have sort of that immediate impact that he had when he was kind of saving the team in the end of 2013 and 2014? And does that wear thin with his players? Because the frustration was that people didn't see that passion, you know, on the field with his players, and he didn't seem to adjust tactically. And it just seemed kind of like that he had come in with all this energy and warmth, and then it just kind of wore off, and he had nothing else besides that passion. He had, you know, he didn't have the tactics or the development, and without that, the team didn't really have a spark.
Yeah, I think with the players, I think that was his one kind of, the thing that he has, and he's always had in his career. I mean, you can tell in the press comments the way he talks. I think he had the players, and I think he's probably still got the players. They're probably really not happy at the minute. But, you know, I think you've got to put it in the context. And, you know, when he came in, Andrea, I agree with you, he came in, he gave this burst of energy, a real injection of, like, life into the national team. After Chepo and Vucitic and, you know, all that, like, absolute farce that happened at the back end of 2013. But, I mean, the question for me then, as much, you know, as Sunday, when Mexico were lifting the Gold Cup, was, all right, is Piojo Herrera the guy to move this team forward towards Russia, towards Qatar, and who's going to make Mexico not just a team that is going to be winning the odd Gold Cup and floating around 2030 in the world, but it's going to be a serious team that is in the top 10 of the world and can manage, and this is the key thing, that can manage all the good things that have gone on over the last 5 to 10 years in Mexico's basically youth revolution at the grassroots of the game. Is Herrera that person with the vision to look down at the structure and to gradually involve more and more young players? And I always had big time doubts about that. So I think in the short term he was the right person, but in the long term I never thought he was. But at the same time, I think after what he did at the World Cup, he deserved a chance. And at the end of the day, it sounds harsh, but he blew it. With what he did with Martinoli, he absolutely blew it.
Yeah, many fans are still coming out on Twitter. They're defending Piojo, and I can see why in what he brought, especially the players. I feel that he speaks to the players and he treats the player. Martinoli coming on today saying that there's too much power that the players have. They can do whatever they want. They went from the complete opposite from Chepo to now Piojo lets them do whatever. We kind of see that from the players not talking to the press, the tweets from the Dos Santos, Pablo Aguilar saying tiro at the airport. I mean, just kind of seeing that behavior. But what I want to get to is a lot of the fans don't understand why he got fired. They're looking for the video evidence. I tweeted out that if you see those videos, you see the FMS was there. I mean, the players and the suits, the jefe de prensa, he was also there. He saw everything. We don't need to have any of the video that we needed to have, and I think it did happen. Looking at everything, Piojo I think did struck Martinoli, and I think that's why they had to let him go. This isn't a shove, which I thought I was defending Piojo. It looked like everything was a shove, but it would have been a little bit different if this was done outside in the street somewhere.
Piojo would have probably liked that. I think he was calling him out of the street. But,
he was, and we see that. But we have now a chance to, again, everyone's trying to say if you're looking at the Faitelssons of the world, it's like we should do everything what's right. But I feel that it's going to be another pressure moment for the FMF for this year, and he's going to try to find someone on the go, on the fast, and here we go again. I mean, this should if we would have changed coaches, it's usually after World Cup process where they can spend some time. As Sven-Goran Eriksson wasn't announced until months later. Now we're looking for a coach in about a week. Interesting to see. Mr. Cesar, we didn't get to talk to you to start on your thoughts of what's going on.
For cat-like reasons, yes.
For cat-like reasons. But
a quick question for you. I've got one. Sorry to butt in, Whistle, but are you happy as like a Mexico fan that with the way that the federation dealt with this case?
Am I? Yes. I mean, but then again, I mean, as a fan, I was growing tired of Piojo. I think we've talked about. I think. Like we've mentioned, it seemed like it was all emotion. It was all, as we said, there was a lot of excitement involving him. But I grew tired of it. I was unhappy with it. I was unhappy with his tactics, as a fan, just in general with that Gold Cup. I think, I don't know, just as a fan, like everything from the Gold Cup, I was entirely unhappy with that as well. I think the way that the way that FMF dealt with it, I think it was okay. I have no problem with it. He apparently punched someone. This is after a bad result in the Gold Cup. Yeah, I have no problem with it. From a fan perspective, I think it was fine.
And let me just make a quick point about the federation, because I mean it's a bit of a side issue, but all right. I remember when we were there in Arizona. Remember when a year ago, or a year and about 15, 16 months ago, when United States against Mexico, when La Pioja was there in the press conference. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking then, she put her hand up and asked a question. Yeah. I remember thinking then, man, what is going on here? Like, I appreciate that it was a real break from Chepo and the disciplinarian, almost military. But, I mean, at the end of the day, and I don't agree with what Martinoli said about her or the criticism, the fierce criticism, it was over the top. But, I mean, Herrera put her in that position, a teenage girl, into the spotlight, hanging around with the players, doing this, doing that. And it's like, I feel like someone at the federation, that I think they slipped up there. Somebody should have been going in and saying, what are you doing here? This is this is serious. You don't want to be doing this. And because Herrera's he's never had anything like the pressure that this job entails with the national team. All right, America, but this is a completely different ballgame. And I don't know. I think the federation could have reined him in right early on and been like,
he wasn't. Did you see her at any of the Gold Cup stuff? Did you see her at all this year? I know there were some friendlies in the beginning and after.
I didn't see her in any of the group stage. At least I didn't see her anywhere. I could see why they would want to embrace it though. Just like I said, it was just a different change of pace. It might have been a little, especially after the World Cup. It might have been a little bit more uplifting. A little bit of a better mood. But yeah, maybe they should have cracked down on that.
Well, I think we saw with what she did then. I mean, I actually feel sorry for her because and now. How are people going to react to her? She's a known person now in Mexico. She'll walk down the street in Mexico City. She'll go to school. She'll go to university. And that's going to be extremely... Anyway, this is a side point, but it's going to be really difficult for her, and I feel like the FMF should have been at the start.
She'll be wiping her tears away from $100 bills. She's like, oh, this is so sad.
Ouch. Oh, my God.
It's true.
I think the one thing that I'm also kind of with Cesar that I'm okay with this decision because I think just tactically the way things were going and like the players that were being brought in, it was starting to get a little concerning. So like regardless of the situation, it's just kind of like okay, it serves the purpose that I think Mexico fans probably need in the end here to just move on to the next manager, to someone who's going to take the team forward to Russia, but. I don't know. The thing that concerns me is that he is someone who had the players, right? This is someone who, I don't know, coming off of the Chepo era where like there were so many players who just were seemingly so unhappy playing for this team that you had people who were coming back to the team, happy to be there. It didn't always go well, but you had like a group, and that's not always easy thing to do in a national team. Get everyone on the same. I don't know, just that cohesion. And there was a bit of cohesion. It wasn't always pretty. It didn't always show up on the field, but they showed up like as a happy unit, at least somewhat. So that's the thing that's going forward. That is kind of like the sad part about this is there's definitely someone who had the player support. So that could be a trouble going forward a bit.
I really don't think his football was that bad. I feel like the players weren't there in the tournament. The FMF getting the two tournaments and how many players and the logistics of everything, I really did affect the players. I mean, look at if you look at the Costa Rica game, if it was Peralta and Vela who missed those shots, and I felt like his substitutes, his coaching, I didn't think it was that bad on the way that many people think that it was sort of coming. Because I feel like if we would have won that Costa Rica game, if Peralta would have scored the goal, then I think it would have been completely different.
It's not just the Costa Rica game. It was the Trinidad and Tobago game. It was the Costa Rica game. It was the Panama game. It wasn't just one singular match.
Especially the Panama game.
Yeah, it was multiple matches. Yeah.
Right. Don't you think it falls on the players?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Out of the games this. All right. The Gold Cup, 6 games and then the 2 friendlies before. So out of So they won 2 games in 90 minutes. That's against CONCACAF opposition at home because they play at home in the United States.
And one of them was against Cuba.
And one of them was against Cuba. We only had 8 players because the rest of them ditched.
We were all talking about it. Even if they didn't win the Gold Cup, I think we were still debating to see if Piojo was going to stay or not. I mean, we were kind of all right. He needs to win. I think if he would have lost, I think we would have been talking about if he was going to leave. I still think that they would have kept him in the whole process, but. Interested to see what happens. It's sad that we're not talking about football. It really is, and we're talking about.
Seriously, like I said on Twitter, it felt like I was working for TMZ last night, studying videos. Let's see, did he hit him? I don't know. Let's watch this other link, and I just felt uncomfortable. I didn't like that at all, man. I did not like that at all.
It definitely drama brings the ratings because I got 100 Twitter followers in the last 24 hours, so I can see why Vector and everyone loves talking about the drama that's outside of football. But the big question is, let's go ahead and talk about it. Now that Piojo's gone, we've seen it. There was a statement that he did have, kind of apologizing to.
Kind of apologizing.
Kind of apologizing.
Sort of, maybe.
I feel like
he basically said this is not the way that a coach of the Mexican national team should behave, although I have been criticized, insulted, and made fun of, and my family, and, basically it's like nobody knows the troubles I've seen.
Let's see.
But,
with this conduct, I address what happened in the past hours. I want to offer a public apology to the fans, technical staff, players, Mexican Football Federation, directors, and media for my conduct in a shameful incident I had with a commentator. It is clear that it is not the attitude that a trainer of the national team must take despite receiving all type of critique, offenses, and teasing towards my family and myself. To the great Mexican fans, I want to thank you for all the support during the process as coach of the FMF. I want to take the support of them they received and given me and the management, the understanding, and I understand the decision has been made, which I respect. I'm saddened profusely to leave the national team because of the lamentable cause, because the results were there and the team mostly had a positive intent and objectives were planned. I want to take advantage of this and make sure I'm with my family, blah, 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 collaboration, and maybe come back later on. There it is. That's my quick translation. Woo!
Yeah,
Honestly,
the part where he says he's going to come back, he says, you're como lo mismo, like, I'm going to come back the same. So basically, he's like, I'm not going to...
I'm getting the other side.
I'm still going to be me.
Perfect.
It's wrong.
Man.
Honestly, I read half that apology and just stopped. I was like, I don't care. I'm done with you for now.
I can't wait. You know, this is when we need Piojo to do all those Sabadazo shows. Like, I want to know what happened. I want to know what. Like, did he come in the airport? The first thing he just jetted out and just went pop, just popped into that. Because I really do believe he actually did hit him now. From what.
Although, yeah.
True. Everyone, poor Philadelphia airport got a ton of followers yesterday. From random fans and journalists saying, you have video. I was trying to call somebody on the phone. I was there and trying to figure I could speak to somebody just to at least tell us about an incident because it just was so unbelievable that was happening. Let's go to the chat. Lots of people on the chat right now. Your questions that are on there. A lot of people discussing, obviously, already what everybody wants to talk about. Who's going to come? Hoping that Cesar is okay with everything with his cat. So if you're on the chat, ask us your question. Type in your questions for us, and we'll try to answer them coming here on the show. But let's go ahead and talk about our next topic. Obviously, who will replace Chepo? The list of already candidates, the Twitter, the rumors, especially with who's coming in, who's not. It feels like every hour there's a coach trending and somebody's getting close to talks, but we won't get to know. What's definitely a possibility is that I think Mexico's trying to obviously get a coach that is either knows the Mexican player, but at the same time knows the text, which I think is pretty hard. If you're going to take somebody from Europe, they don't know Mexico. If you're going to take somebody from Mexico, they don't know the tactics like European does. I think it's going to be hard. But here's a list. If you look at our little graphic here.
Oh, I thought it was a game which is one of these is not like the other.
Yes. Tuca, Caixinha, Sampaoli, Klopp, and what everybody wants. Yes, I think everybody wants this. That's what we're seeing. Tom, you're in Mexico. Obviously, you're close to a lot of your journalist friends there, and what you're hearing. Before we say any rumors, is there anyone that's kind of more of an approachment? This is what the FMF is going to that you've seen already on Twitter, on the internet, or your closest sources.
Well, I think from what I've heard, the number one priority, the guy that they want, is Bielsa. I mean, that's the dream. We saw Grupo Pachuca last time that they were making this decision before Piojo. Bielsa was again the man, and I think Grupo Pachuca again are trying to go with Bielsa. I mean, Bielsa was in talks with Chivas a couple of years ago as well, but the thing with Bielsa is he's fiercely criticised the Mexican Federation before and the way the Mexican football is run. He basically criticised the draft system, and he said, if these owners are going to treat the players like that, they've got no respect for football, and therefore I'm not going to work here. And Bielsa,
sounds perfect. I like him.
But they don't call him a loco for nothing. I mean, he only goes to jobs when he knows he's got 100% control. And the thing with Bielsa is, whatever they pay him, I don't think he's 100% motivated by money, and there's no way that this federation are going to cede to his demands on the playing side. There's absolutely no way. I mean, and I think that's the big flaw with Bielsa. And also, he's with Marseille. I know there's been that he's still kind of in contract discussions with Marseille. Not a lot of people know that, but it came out in L'Equipe today, the details about his contract. So there may be a tiny bit of room to at least talk to him. But at the end of the day, this is a guy he's gonna take weeks to decide as well. He's going to go through everybody who works in the federation, all the players. What can he do with the team? I mean, he's a serious guy, and I just can't. For that reason, I can't see Bielsa ever accepting to come to the Mexican national team.
But I think that's why he needs to come to the national team, because if you think about it, Piojo was like so in the FMF's pocket that, like, when he was made interim and Club America still wanted him to stay on as coach, I mean, basically he was working double time, still doing his club and doing the national team. And he didn't even have the clout to say, no, this is ridiculous. It's time for me to go here and forget this. I mean, and I think that, you know, the only coach that can really shake up the FMF the way they need to be shaken up and to get them out of that, you know, pacto de caballeros control that, you know, all the shadowy owners have behind the scenes is somebody like Bielsa. And this is the kind of situation, especially with the U.S. game coming up in October, where they might be desperate enough to give him that control. I'm hoping.
But like, why? What would be his motivation to take this job? Like, it would be great for the FMF if he took this job, because someone who could possibly put them in their place a little bit. But what's in it for him? Like it's a bad job. Like, this is not something that someone would want. Like, why settle for Bielsa? Why not go Klopp? Why not go Ancelotti? Where's Mourinho? Let's bring him in. Like, why would they take this job?
Get a picture of Mourinho. Get a picture of Mourinho up there.
Starting right now. Mexican soccer show Mourinho. We're pulling for it.
I mean, whoever takes this job has to be someone who's looking to raise their status, right? Like, you have Caixinha up there, and I could see that as a possibility, because here's someone who is kind of moving up in the ranks of coaching, right? And this would be a step up kind of job. Like, for Caixinha, it makes sense. Or, like, the money is there, but, like, there's no security in this job. Like, what are the chances that whoever is hired now is going to make it to Russia? Like 5%, 10%? Like, seriously, it's probably not going to happen.
You could work that out statistically, and it would be a low percentage, because I mean, it's not just like us criticizing the federation. It's historical fact. Mexican coaches don't last very long. I mean, you could work out the average, and then, you know, they wouldn't make it to Russia statistically.
Same thing with go back to Bielsa. It looks like Marseille has had problems over the summer as well. And it seems like they're desperate to keep him as well. So I think they'd probably be offering him maybe they're going to offer him a new contract, but it seems like they do not want to let go of him either. So
Piojo should go to Marseille. Bielsa should come here. It seems like everybody wants this, like, you know, European coach. We want, you know, somebody that's already coached at Real Madrid and the great clubs out there. But just like you said, you know, Jason, what's in it for them? They don't want to take a step down. Has there ever been a coach that has had, you know, great coaching tenure in Real Madrid, Manchester United, someone like that took a step down to a top, you know, a 30 team, like a Mexico, like a Ecuador, or, you know, I'm putting in there, and I don't think so. And I think coaches usually, you know, climb up unless there's tons of money involved. We did see it with Van Gogh Eriksen, but, you know, look how that kind of went forward. I think right now, Tuca Ferretti, which I wouldn't have thought at all. It's funny, Jason, Tom and I were talking about it at the cheesesteak place. We were talking about, let's get fired. And it's hilarious, our conversation. We were trying to figure out who we're talking about Caixinha, but I said, no way, Tuca Ferretti. But talks that Memo Cantu might be coming back, Iñárritu leaving, and Memo Cantu, Tuca Ferretti, that wouldn't be bad. Tuca Ferretti, as much as he's against everything the FMF, you know, with the Partido, he coined the Partido Molero term. Do we really see him taking it and saying yes with all that's happening in Tigre?
All right. I just want to make one quick point in general, and then someone go in about Tuca, but there's no one obvious candidate.
Yeah. And
I mean, I think that this is something that's really important to stress. That's why I don't think Herrera's exit was planned at all. There is nobody. There is nobody who ticks all the boxes, and we know with the Mexican national team code, you have to tick a lot of boxes. And to be honest, Herrera did tick a lot of boxes. He was very good with the media. He was very good with the television guys. He didn't rock the boat. It was like he ticked a lot of boxes. Now, you look at the people you've got there. we saw at the back and other names that we've got in there, and there is nobody out of in that list that stands out. And you said it there with Duca. Duca has been highly critical. He's called it a hot potato job before. That there's, he's criticised the FMF for the treatment of Vucitic. He said he would never take the job before. I mean, he's talked about partidos moleros. I mean, at length. I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, Jesus, if he gets given a job and then somebody's just going to put a list of quotes together for a story, probably me or Andrea or Cesar for ESPN. But definitely that's going to happen. But I mean, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but I might as well keep going.
It's always good, Don.
But yeah, and also let's also not forget that he just got, as if we've all forgotten, they got Gignac recently over the summer, and he's about to win Libertadores, and he has what could be historically like one of the greatest like Tigres teams of all time, and he's going to leave that for Mexico, and he doesn't, as we've talked about, like, how long he might stay with the national team. I think it'd be really, really strange for him to leave like Tigres at this moment.
Well, I mean, like, is there any like sort of basis in this rumor? Or is it just because Tigres are doing well? It's like, how about this guy?
I think he's just always been in the conversation because he's just always been in the conversation. Like, just because I know just his experience that he's had in Liga MX, so I think that's why he's just always kind of been there in the background. I think that's why we mentioned him.
I think it's a little bit more than that because usually everybody wants Tuca, but I think people are reporting that the FMF is already talking with the Tigres. In what they would want to do with scheduling, especially with the Libertadores coming up. So I think it's interesting that Tuca is actually a viable choice. It's not just, Tuca should do it. We haven't seen this much everywhere.
I'll tell you what, it'd be absolutely hilarious if Tuca's national team coach. Man.
Oh my God.
His press conferences, they might be better than Herrera's. They might be that good. Honestly, I go there, it's like, I'd pay to see it. When he comes to Guadalajara, Atlas or Chivas, I just sit there and I'm like, just entertain me, Tuca. This is well good. The first thing he does is if you put your hand up or something and you're not a woman, he just tells you to shut up. And then he's like, right, I'll let my ladies first. And then he picks up and he's like, this is mental. This is mad.
There you go.
What would be entertaining is the Mexican national team if he was in charge. Those would be some pretty boring games with his organized, disciplined side. I don't know. I think it might be a little boring with him in charge.
Maybe that's what we need. Andrea, to you, it feels like they do hire somebody, and it's not going to be a long-term thing because they will all be pretty much decided if they beat the U.S. or not. On the pressure of this next month, they have Trinidad and Tobago and then Argentina to kind of prepare, and then one game. Let's say they do hire Bielsa. Let's say they lose that game, and that's it.
There's precedent. There's always repercussions are 10 times as big whenever Mexico loses to the U.S. I would say that there were even repercussions to the friendly loss earlier this year. Mexico does not like to lose to the U.S., especially by the score of 2-0. It just brings back a lot of negative memories going back to 2002, and fans do not want to be reminded of that. But I think the U.S. fans are perhaps happy about the news about Piojo being let go prematurely, because I do think that tactically another coach can come in, and the U.S. team is having problems right now. Overlooked in all this Piojo drama is the fact that they finished 4th. They basically stunk up the World Cup. The World Cup, not the World Cup, the Gold Cup, big time.
Same thing, right? Gold Cup, World Cup.
And no one's talking about that because of Piojo and all the craziness around the Mexican national team. So I honestly think that there are a few coaches on that little graphic that you have that could actually do quite well with the team, at least well enough to beat the U.S., especially this U.S. team right now in October. But sometimes Mexico gets into a mental quirk with the U.S. and they really don't play as well as they can. And so, I mean, it comes down to have the players with Piojo gone lost that confidence and cohesion, or is the FMF going to pick somebody that can that can maximize their talent and potential? And then I think they've got the game. but so much of it is mental, and they could just like psych themselves right out of it.
Yeah, that's I think where the coach comes in. It doesn't know how to handle that psychology that the players have, especially going into it. And not to mention, actually, not to bring another point up, but the players right now who are so in love with Piojo and backing him up and jumping up and down. I mean, it's their buddy. In what they are right now. Imagine someone coming in that they don't get along with. Could we see Vela not coming back to El Tri? Could we see? Because if you look at it, one of the person I remember, Tuca, definitely said a lot of things about Carlos Vela, about him not joining the team every time they asked him. So here comes the players that with the harmony that they had with this coach. Now another comes in, and we'll see. The good thing is that it was FMF who made the decision, and I feel like the players, and for once, kind of are okay with the Iñárritus, with the confiance of the FMF. So I feel like if they do name someone, they were able to do that. And at the same time, they were all there. Héctor Herrera was between Luis Garcia and Piojo Herrera. You saw Carlos Vela right there in line. Somebody questioned, I think it was John Jago, he said, why isn't Mexico taking charter flights? I can't believe that they're taking 7 a.m. flights with everyone from Philly to Mexico City. Interesting enough. But let's go ahead
I didn't
and...
realize that was Héctor Herrera who got in the way of Luis Garcia.
Yeah.
That might have been the best move he's done, like, in the entire month, like, considering the Gold Cup as well.
Héctor Herrera after the Gold Cup with his save move. It wouldn't be a good show if I don't ask you guys on who you think should be the candidate and why. Maybe add in there who they're going to pick. Or is that too many? Or it could be the same one. All right. Let's go with you, Jason. For you. Who should Enrique Mesa?
Well, yeah, I mean, like my pessimism says that that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be Enrique Mesa. It's going to be Tena. It's going to be La Volpe. Like this is what's going to happen. But like I like Caixinha. Like I don't think I'd like it. If I were him, I probably wouldn't do it. But I think that would be a really good choice. I hope he doesn't get chewed up and spit out by the job. But I think he could do a job if he's allowed to do it. So I think that would be a pretty good choice.
All right. Caixinha for you. Cesar?
I would do Vucetich, man. He didn't get enough time in 2013. I think if given time, he could have been a fantastic option. The stuff he did with Monterrey, during those 4 years he was in charge of the team was amazing. The thing, what he did with Querétaro was amazing, dragging Ronaldinho with him along the way. I think I would love it if they're gonna have to apologize to him a lot if he were to somehow come back. And they have, for what they did to him in 2013. But that's my favorite option. That's who I would decide if I was in charge.
Interesting that you said Vucetich. A little thing. When I was in Costa Rica, I was the last person to ask Vucetich a question on the press conference.
Oh, no way.
And I was the last person to ask Piojo the press conference 2 days ago.
Oh,
Dude,
it's a sign.
A Grim Reaper situation here.
Keep your hand down.
Yeah.
Andrea, your pick.
My pick is Bielsa, which doesn't mean, of course, that I think the FMF is going to pick him, but I think you asked who we think should get the job, who would do a good job, and I think Bielsa. He has that previous experience in Mexico. He has the clout, and he's crazy enough to tell the FMF to piss off, and and I think he's the best guy for the job. Now, whether or not they can get him is a whole nother matter.
There you go. And last but not least, Mr. Marshall.
I think I'd go for Bielsa as well, but I mean I just think it's a pipe dream, and I think my second choice would be Caixinha. But I think that for the same reasons that Bielsa might not come, I think Caixinha would be put off. I mean, let's not forget Caixinha just a few weeks ago when he won the championship was criticized Mexican players specifically so much, saying they've basically got no huevos and they don't want to go outside the comfort zone. I mean, he was fiercely critical of the Mexican players, and I agreed with a lot of what he says about Mexican football. But I don't think
scored 4 goals.
What's that?
And then Chuletita scored 4 goals.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree with what he says. He's not afraid to criticize, and I just don't think that's going to go with the federation. But I think that this fits in with what we've been saying. It's not just about who's the best coach when it comes to Mexico, and this is the difference. I mean, we should be like, you know, me and Andrea were saying Bielsa. It should be like, wicked. Cesar said Vucitic, wicked, yeah. On paper, it's great, you know what I mean? But then you look and you're like, Vucitic is like, you look at how he's treated, and you just can't imagine him coming back. You look at Bielsa, and on paper, you look like the type of team that Mexico is, with the type of players, the energy the team has, the technical ability that the team has. And you think, Bielsa, you put his strategy into that, you know, and what a team it could be, you know what I mean? A side that prioritizes the unit ahead of the individual. And you think that, how good would it be? And then you look at the federation, you're like, actually, there's no way that this is going to work. And I think even as far as Caixinha, so a guy who's been here like 3 years, doesn't even have much real experience. I mean, even he might not take the job now. I think it's a bit serious. And I mean, I think what they might end up doing is throwing a lot of money behind somebody. And I think I'd throw Sabella in there as well, the Argentine manager. I mean, I don't know. I've got no information about that, but he ticks a lot of boxes as well. So. But I wouldn't like to put any money on who I think they're going to do it though. I wouldn't like to be like, here's $50. I think they're going to go for this guy because
I think
really,
they have no clue right now too. I don't think they have any clue who they really want right now. I would be very surprised if they knew exactly who they wanted right now.
What's interesting is that back when I was covering the team and it was towards the end of the Fuera Chepo thing, and I was advocating for Piojo Herrera to be given a chance. Partly because he made it so clear that that was his dream job, that he wanted that job to be in charge of Mexico more than anything. And who's like that now? I mean,
and that's the thing. Like, they almost have to be Mexican, don't they? I mean, because like in order to take this job where you're probably going to be chewed up and spit out, like it has to be something that you've always wanted to do. Like it has to be like a life ambition kind of thing, because who else is taking this unless they're overpaid?
That's what hurt him so much, that he was hurt because it was such a dream for him that he took all the criticism personally. And if you get a coach in there that's more focused on being professional, like, I don't know, throwing back to the days of Bora Milutinovic, who's like maybe even a little bit of a mercenary, that I'm here to do my job. And, you know, what the fans say and what the critics say, I'm not going to take it personally. Herrera cared almost too much. It, like, his objectivity was out the window.
I mean, what I'd like to see from a Mexico manager as well, a Mexican manager, probably better said, is that they're like, oh yeah, I want to go to the national team and that's going to be my stepping stone because I want to win the Champions League. I mean, it sounds ridiculous and it would sound ridiculous, but come on, let's have some ambition. Let's see some like ambition from players and managers that they want to do massive things. I mean, Argentine players do that. Brazilians do that. Chilean players don't do that.
Tell me, player and fans, that they can go behind a coach that says, oh yeah, I just want to be here for 3 years, give you guys some wins, and then I want to go to Europe. Like, it's the different, you know, the fans that are in there. Even when Tuca leaves, look at Johnny. Johnny, I mean, even saying in America is like, why is Piojo? You're taking Piojo away from us. I mean, the fans are a little different than what it is. They're giving you that little stepping stone. I don't think it's there for Mexican coaches.
No, but I mean, the stepping stone comes with a caveat, and the caveat is that you have to do well. Because if you come to the Mexican national team and you don't do well, then you're definitely not going Europe. I mean, look at La Volpe. If you chat to La Volpe, as well as he did in 2006, I mean, he had no offers to go to Europe after that tournament. You know, you have to do especially well. So what I'm saying is, I just want to see some ambition, somebody who doesn't say, this is my absolute thing that I've always wanted to do. It's like, well, yeah, it's cool and everything, but it's like, I don't know, I just want to see. That's why I like Caixinha, by the way. That's why I like Caixinha, because he'd take the job very seriously. He's an absolute workaholic and a student of the game. Like I've said it before, I think Caixinha, if people actually listen to him, could have the same impact on the Mexican game as Arsene Wenger did in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I mean, he could culturally change the game in terms of coaching, but I don't think people really listen to him, to be honest.
And similar to Wenger, he trusts young players as well too, which is something Mexico might need to try as well. Some of those younger players are supposed to be relying on some of those veterans.
Interesting. On my choice, you think I would say Matosas, but no, I would not say Matosas because of the loan, even though he gave those 3 titles that were there. Obviously, if we're thinking about, Bielsa would be the choice. We've been wanting a Bielsa type of coach for a very long time. That knows, that's been through Mexico. But if we're gonna dream, let's just go Guardiola. I mean, why not, right? I mean, we're dreaming for Bielsa.
Guardiola did say that Bielsa was the best manager in the world a few years ago. So
let's go with Guardiola because he did spend time in Dorados for 2 years. He knows the Mexican league, and Dorados is in the Primera now. It's all a sign. Give him some money, a ton of money, and here we go. I'm sure he can leave where he's at. No. I think it's going to be someone like Katuka, like Caixinha, a winning coach already in the Liga MX that they're going to throw a bunch of money in. And you know what? It's going to come down to the Federativos. They're going to be like, yes, this is what we're going to go for, just like they did when it was Piojo. They need somebody right now. They need someone fast, and in order for them to beat the U.S. Then later on, they'll probably do some kind of contract. For me, I would love to hear that. But
well, I heard that Jurgen Klinsmann guy is having problems with the U.S. men's national team. How about we bring him over?
You know, I heard Andrea loves him.
Yeah, let's have the Klinsmann. We have Andrea Canales here. Let's have the Klinsmann talk. He's wanting everybody in Europe at least, right?
Okay, let's have the Klinsmann talk.
Do we have time?
It's totally been overlooked, but I think it's Mexico fans who should be celebrating with how bad the U.S. team looks right now under Klinsmann. If you look at the stats, possession-wise and shots on goal, I mean, Panama outshot the U.S. 25-5. This is like, you know, and what I love right now is the U.S. fans, they're just like, oh, our player pool isn't deep enough. Oh, it's the resources. Oh, we don't have pro relegation. And I'm just like going out of my mind. It's the coaching. It's the coaching. So basic. It's the freaking coaching. Or not
Welcome to the Mexican Soccer Show, guys. Anybody else, Tom? On the other, on Klopp, on Matosas?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have Klopp, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Go on.
He's going to go Premier League, isn't he? I think he's on record saying he's basically waiting, isn't he, for a decent job in the Premier League. But I'd take Matosas.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ideal. I think he's a bit of a dreamer. I think he's a bit defensively not the best, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. I like the way his teams play. He's probably my favourite coach.
So you'll take him for selfish reasons. Yeah.
I'll take him.
No, honestly, I think with Matosas, if let's say I do go Matosas, I wouldn't be upset. I think I'd be more upset if it was like, let's see, actually, you know what? Even Caixinha, you know, that we're looking at it, I wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, this is over. I think he can do it. I think offensively and what he brings in the mid, and I guess you know Luisito Montes and you know that Leon mid will be back on the national team, so I'll be happy.
Quick question: what about if it was Tenor? Would people be upset?
I actually brought that up. I was sending a message on Tenor having a long, you know, starting now, and so I don't think he's that bad of a coach, and especially he can bring the players together. And I don't think he was given a chance for that one game that he went against the U.S. in Columbus. But if I could see them going with a 10 and I wouldn't be that upset. Actually, I like Tenor.
What about Mesa? Would you be upset with Mesa?
I think with Mesa, I just kind of shrug my shoulders and just hope for the best in September and October, man.
What about,
I don't know. That's not my first.
No,
come on, man. I wouldn't be comfortable with the Volpe, to be perfectly honest.
I'm just throwing them out. I mean, you never know. I just think
it's coming. It's what's coming.
Mohammed, that's a good name. That's a good name we've not thrown out there. Mohammed.
Oh, I don't know. That's one I wouldn't want to. Like, I wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't complain about it. I mean.
Well, I say the defense needs some shoring up, and that's kind of his specialty. But you know.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'd go for him, but I mean, it's the same thing. It goes back to the same thing. Look at how he left America.
If you go to Argentina,
Televisa. Like, there's no way that the way that FMF is set up that someone like Mohammed and that goes against the good of the team, because at the end of the day there should be somebody with a philosophy from the top down who's like, right, Mohammed's the guy because this is why. Andrea pointed it out. Defensively we'll lapse. Defensively we need to really get it together. Once we've got a sound foundation, then we can, move forward. But there's nobody doing that, and the FMF really shoots itself in the foot because of that. Because Mexico can't go for the best managers. Our list here, we've got our list and stuff, and it's like you might as well just throw it out the window.
Gotta be an America-friendly manager, I think. Lots of discussion. Great show so far. Let's see if the chat is talking about we still got a new hair product, of course.
Really, the burning issues.
No, they're talking about some people will like them, some won't. Just a lot of discussion on what they need, and obviously the dream. And we're saying hi to the Panchavis Army, who's joined the chat always with coming in with their commentary. But guys, even though Liga MX has started,
Oh, did it? I didn't realize that.
Started, and I was the one that kind of said, hey, we're not ready. And then, Monday was going to be my research Liga MX. Let's start writing. Let's see, go and Jason and I we're working on something for FootMX Stores. It's going to be great. And all of a sudden this happens. But we won't have time to talk about Liga MX. Really quick, Tigres, really probably the biggest match for Tigres in the history of Tigres. And also up there for our clubs in the Libertadores. In what we saw, a match, where Tigres is there with a new coach. With new players, and how big is this match? Cesar, you were talking about it earlier. I asked you, how big is this match for them? And it's happening tomorrow. Are people paying attention?
I mean, it's massive. We can't talk about how massive it really is, and I think it's a little unfortunate that a little bit of in the last couple of games have run a little bit into the Gold Cup, so it wasn't getting too much attention. People were watching the Mexico games and we're giving it too much attention. Luckily, Tigres, they're still in. They're in the final, and I think it's huge. It's historic for Tigres. It's historic for Mexico. It's massive, and you would see cartoons be put up online, with the Mexican fan who was shameful of the national team, but that for Tigres, and we're out there. That's he's representing Liga MX. He's representing Mexico. It's huge. It's and especially with when you see with Gignac, he's immediately scored as soon as he joined the team. So it looks like he's already having an impact. And you look at that. You look at some of those options they have in attack, and it's really one of the most threatening squads that you've ever seen. And I think I saw Naive say that. I think it's a little bit of a hyperbolic, but I think he said that they would finish he thinks that they would finish a top 7 or top 8 in La Liga. He thinks that Tigres, with the quality that they have right now, I don't know if they would finish there. But yeah, it's a fantastic squad. It's exciting. It's exciting for Mexico, and We'll see what they can do tomorrow. It's definitely it's huge. It's huge.
It's a lethal combination. The speed of Jürgen Damm, going into Gignac. It's really it's awesome that combination just clicked so quickly. Yeah. And now they're getting their players back that they had with the national team, so they're actually going to be even more threatening and dangerous. And heck, there's even an American with Paco in there. So I mean. I think it's something for El Gringo.
Bad news is that they will not have
Aquino.
Aquino, sorry, yes, Tom.
Who was excellent in the last game.
So a big blow for Tigres that will impact, but getting the national team, I didn't think about that, the national team players, in when you see that. I know definitely a huge match. Any last thoughts, Tom or Jason, on the Tigres?
Well, we discussed Tuca so much, and we talked about that attack, but this is someone going into this game like a manager who you'd really trust in this situation, because he's bringing that disciplined team. He's bringing that defensive stability to these big games. So there's a trust that things aren't going to go horrible for Tigres. They're always going to be in these games. So this manager gives this team a chance, despite all these fancy new things that have been added to this team. There's a stability in this team, and that core in the back is still there. So there's a trust there.
I'm sorry, and I know I don't want to go back to it, but just as Piojo's fired, I can't believe I'm saying that Tigres is in a Libertadores final. I would have never thought the way Tuca teams played, never gave any importance to anything but La Liga. So. I think I don't know what changed. What changed from Tuca putting so much emphasis on it? Is it the team? Is it, hey, we made it past the quarterfinals? Maybe this is something that I can do before. But Tom, then we always see Tuca teams saying, we're here for the tournament and then sending the youth. Or was that really something that the owners wanted him to take? Because I don't see Tuca doing that with any of his teams.
No, I think Tuca's pretty pragmatic. That's why he's been in the league for 24 years consecutively. I mean, I know he criticises it a lot, but he's also pragmatic. He knows how to play the game. He may be from Brazil, but he's been here in Mexico so long that he understands how it works. So I think that's the reason. But I think my quick point about the Tigres and the Libertadores is that they should have no fear. They should give River Plate absolutely no respect. River are a good team. They've got some really good players, but there's absolutely no reason why this Tigres team, player for player, like Cesar was saying, isn't good enough to win this tournament. And on Wednesday, you're going up against a team who has had a long trip from Buenos Aires, who is actually in the middle of the winter now. Who's used to absolutely freezing temperatures down there, and it's going to be hot in Nueva Lona. I know the kickoff's at 8, but that's going to be very difficult for River. And I think that Tigres have to go for it. They have to go for it. Absolutely, away goals don't count. So if you let a goal in, don't matter. Go for it. You need to get that. You need to get at least a 1-goal lead to take back to Monumental, because it'll be absolutely fierce there. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about the game, and I think, yeah, Tigres have to absolutely go for it. Don't have any fear. There's nothing to fear. They're good enough to win this tournament, and they just have to go out and give a really good 180 minutes.
All right. Well, let me ask you your predictions before we leave. Tom, prediction?
Yeah, I think 2-0 Tigres. I think they're going to do it.
Jason?
Same. They're just the better team. 2-0.
Cesar, 2-0?
2-1, actually. Just honestly, I'd probably shoot for 2-0, but just to mix things up, I'm shooting for 2-1.
And Andrea?
I'll just pick 2-0.
I'll say 3-1.
Oh!
Controversial to River.
Gignac with a hat trick in the first 5 minutes.
Tom, how do you say Gignac one more time?
André Pierre Gignac.
Gignac. Gignac.
I had a video on YouTube. It went viral. Well, I say viral. It had about 2,000 views. But
I made jokes about this, Tom. That video got more views than any other Mexican soccer show.
Well, I'll end it with that. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Excellent show. First, thank you, Andrea, for taking the time to come on the Mexican Soccer Show. It was a lot of fun. Your views. If you can catch Andrea obviously on Twitter on Soccer Canales. She's been doing it for a very long time. I remember reading her stuff a long time ago, early 2000s. And you also see her stuff ESPN FC, right? And a part of the America blog, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. A lot of stuff for that. And Cesar, thank you so much. Jason, glad you recovered from Philly. Tom, you thought it was over with national team, and guess what? You got to keep writing about it. Liga MX is not here yet, guys. We're out of time. Thank you to all. Thank you to the many that were joining us today through the chats. We have record numbers today. Please share this with your friends. Share this with anyone that you know. Put it on social media. That way we can get more of the followers and we get more shows out there for you guys. That's all from me for the Mexican Soccer Show. And I'm sure we'll have something going as soon as the Mexican coach is named. I don't see it happening anytime soon. Early. I think they're going to take their time.
I'm still pushing for Tom to get it. I think he deserves it.
Yes, Tom for the national team.
That and my cat.
English manager though. I don't know about that.
He knows. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next.
Sam Allardyce.
We'll get to the episode of the Mexican.
Sam Allardyce for Mexico.
See you guys later.